Now that we've covered the history of Big Bethel, I think we should discuss the more sinister side of the Big Bethel battle site. Though not many people died during this conflict, all it takes is one person to die, but refuses to stay dead. I'm talking about ghosts here. While walking on the battle site, there was an uneasy feeling that I got. It is not reverence for the historical significance of the site. It seems that someone was watching me. Someone just out of sight, behind a tree, just checking me out. However, I was the only one on the trail. My family stayed in their car. As I walked between the markers, my gut feeling told me to get my pictures and get out. I had this feeling, even though it was midday, I knew I was not alone. I knew the dead were watching and waiting. Remember, not only are we talking about the Civil War, but we're also talking about the Revolutionary War. I'm talking about Britain versus the 13 Colonies War. There has been recorded bloodshed on this land since the 1600s. The Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783. The first operation was in 1726 in a place that used to be called Chesterfield. Today we call it Hampton. The apparition is of George Wythe. Among other titles, he was the mayor of Williamsburg. George was poisoned by a relative who was angry that George had planned to free his slaves and leave a portion of his estate to them. In fear of being cut out the will, his grandnephew killed him and one of the slaves. But I guess GW got the last laugh because he still roams the area. GW was also a friend of Thomas Jefferson. Yes, that Thomas Jefferson. The Civil War, 1861 to 1865. Moving forward 100 years or so, we're in the Civil War era. You need to remember, the Civil War was about slavery and the economics of owning slaves and its associated free labor. Union General Butler, commander at Fort Monroe, heard rumblings that slaves were being conscripted into the Confederate Army. They were scheduled to build earthworks in Williamsburg and Yorktown. In response, Butler ordered an occupation around the Big Bethel Church. The plan was for the Union troops to make a surprise attack on the Confederates at Big Bethel. However, due to a lack of leadership and a lack of training, a Union soldier fired his rifle, alerting the opposing force. During the snafu, Confederate troop Henry Lawson Wyatt and comrades had volunteered to burn down a Union-owned house. In the commotion, Wyatt was shot in the head. Today, Confederate troop Henry Lawson appears occasionally near the Big Bethel battle site. He was the only Southerner to be killed in the Big Bethel conflict. Could he be the guy watching over Big Bethel? Or is it the 18 Union troops that were killed during that conflict? Either way, somebody was watching me who should have been dead. My son just moved into a split-level home near their old battle site. But the neighborhood seemed too quiet for me. Too proper. It felt like I was in the film, The Stepford Wives. The first night, I told my wife, our son's neighborhood is haunted. She responded with just one word, well, and went to sleep. For some reason, around 3 a.m. I woke. I looked outside, but I saw nothing unusual. So I went back to bed. The next morning, I told my son my thoughts, but he dismissed my statement. He said, "If I see something, I'll let you know." The next night around 3 a.m., I awoke again, but this time it felt like it was downstairs, in the house. Then I went to the top of the stairs and looked down. Again, I saw nothing and heard nothing. In fact, it looked too dark. Rays of streetlight was flowing into the curtainless windows upstairs, but not the windows downstairs. There were no curtains on any of the windows in the house. Yet, it looked like I was looking into a deep black hole. And the quiet. It was too quiet. All houses make noises, yet there was nothing emanating from the lower level. Where's the refrigerator noise? Where's the air conditioner noise? My gut feeling warned me, if I stay upstairs, stay in my place, everything will be okay. Something told me if I go looking for trouble, I will find trouble. So I went back to bed. The next morning, I told everyone about my experience and they all laughed. The following day, my wife and I flew back to Texas. That night, my son and his wife were watching TV downstairs. The baby was upstairs sleeping. Like all parents these days, they were using a baby monitor. Out of the blue, over the monitor, they heard a lady softly talking to the baby. Running upstairs, they saw nothing and heard nothing. They called me explaining their experience. I stated baby monitors are not secure communication devices. It could be crosstalk from another baby monitor in the neighborhood. We continued with other small talk and then eventually hung up. My son's duty day starts around 3 a.m. The next morning, prepping for work, my son went downstairs. As soon as he left the stairs, all his electronic devices turned on. They self-initiated. I asked if his TV and game machine have automatic timers. He said if they did, he was not aware of it. This happened for several mornings. One morning, right before his alarm clock sounded, he heard the baby monitor lady talking. However, this time he heard her whispering with his own ears. She was in the baby's room. Both my son and his wife went into the baby room, yet there was no one there. I suggested he make an appointment to see the base chaplain, which he did. He explained the situation to the chaplain, and the chaplain said the house needed to be blessed. So this is where the story stops for now. I don't know the results of the blessing, if it worked or not. That said, I can say for now, this is to be continued. Story written and recorded by Surround 0206. Recorded 14 November 2021. Big Bethel research done through the Virginia Historical Society, the Virginia Walking Tours, and Air Force Archives. Sound effects, soundjoy.com. Music, purpleplanet.com. See you next time.